Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Ellie Snake Lady and I have little Cadassias here with me today, and we're going to be talking about corn snake breeding season. I mean, a lot of what I'm going to talk about applies to pretty much most snakes, but as I say, I've got 4 corn snakes, so I'm going to concentrate on those because I'm used to their habits during mating season and whatnot. So yeah, without any further ado, I'll just get straight on with that, and thanks very much for watching. So I've got some notes here with me, and I'm just going to kind of read off, from some of those. So yeah, I'll get on with that. So corn snakes don't normally mate all year round. They do wait till the season of spring, which is normal for a lot of animals at this time of year. So basically, when it comes to mating, the males will line up their body with the female, and they'll also go on sort of tactile and sort of chemical kind of cues to basically allow the female to understand, that he's ready to mate, basically. Once they're in line, they have to have their, now I hope I'm pronouncing this right, but they have to have their cloaca, which is kind of the vent part of the snake. They have to have those lined up, and then the male has a hemipenis, as it's called, and it's basically like a sort of 2-pronged organ, as it were, and that goes into the female. And obviously, God, I sound like I'm talking about the birds and the bees here, but anyway. So yeah, so that goes into the female, and they interlock, or they stay interlocked for anything from maybe 10 to 20 minutes. Sometimes it could be half an hour, but it just depends. But that's how long they'll stay locked for. The females, whether they have fertilized or unfertilized eggs, will lay their eggs around sort of summer, autumn time. Anything, I'd say more probably late spring to up to autumn, that sort of time, that they can lay their eggs, because some snakes will lay possibly twice in a year, but it just depends on the snake. So females that are being considered for breeding should be, now this, I think 3 is the golden rule here. They should be 3 years old, because at 3 years, that's when female corn snakes reach sexual maturity. They should be 3 foot long and weigh 300 grams. Now, this is just my opinion. This is what I have researched, but it's also what I believe to be the sort of key perfect length, weight, age and all the rest of it for a snake to basically carry eggs and lay them safely. No one wants egg binding, and yet again, egg binding is basically when eggs get stuck in the female and the female can't pass any of the eggs out of her cloaca. So if that does happen, I would say straight away go to a vet. I mean, there are home remedies that I've heard people trying, like putting a snake in warm water in the bath and all that to try and help them pass the egg, but I would just say take to a vet. So the pregnant females will feed a lot for the next 3 to 6 weeks after mating. And after this period, the snake's eggs will cause a lot of discomfort for the female to digest food. So she'll likely stop eating altogether just before her prenatal shed. And this happened with Apollonia last year. I think she shed her skin, and then she kind of went off her food and wasn't eating, laid her eggs. I think she shed her skin again after that, and then I fed her and she was eating and back to normal again. So that was my experience with her. But as everyone knows, she laid infertile eggs because she's never been with a male. So there we go. It's also common for the males to not want to eat food during breeding season. So, don't be worried if they do go off their food. They will eat again in time. It's just that the breeding season for a lot of male corn snakes is over March and April. So by May, they should be sort of eating again with any luck. I do not know what this boy is doing. So yeah, so they'll start eating again, so don't, you know, don't worry too much. If they don't, then obviously take them to a vet and get them checked over. As you know, Asclepion does go off his food. I've mentioned that before. He does go off his food. This one, he's only ever once refused a meal during breeding season, but the rest of the time he's just a bit coy about taking food. He's a bit shy. Rather than like grabbing and coiling around and everything, he's just a bit shy and sort of eats very gently and slowly and stuff, but he doesn't necessarily go off his food. But what he does do, and I'll try and get a picture of this and try and film it, but he does nose rub. And don't know if you can see the top of his nose has got a grey bit. So yeah, he's nose rubbed in the past to try and get out of the tank to the females, and that is obviously normal for captive bred corn snakes. Now Asclepion doesn't do the nose rubbing thing. I think he did it for the first year of, you know, him hitting the whole sexual maturity thing, you know, but after that he hasn't really bothered. His thing is glass surfing and going off food, whereas this one is nose rubbing and glass surfing. So I just like to keep an eye on him and just make sure he's okay. I do not know where he's going. He's a crazy boy. He seems to have found his way into my top, so corn snake eggs are usually laid 30 to 45 days after mating, with 10 to 30 eggs in a clutch. Now, going back to Apollonia, when she laid her infertile eggs, there was 19. That's what I counted. So that was, you know, that was quite a lot. But yeah, I just couldn't ever imagine that many eggs were in her body, but they were. Apparently, young snakes do lay a lower number of eggs, and yeah, again, as I say, Apollonia, she laid 19. The research I did said 10 to 30, but she laid 19, so that's pretty average. She's not a young snake. I mean, when she laid her eggs last year, she was 7 years old. So Athene has not laid any eggs, and she's a little bit older, but I've heard some people say that their females haven't laid. And there was one person said their corn snake was 11 years old when she started laying eggs, so they can just do it at any time. Apparently some females might not lay any eggs at all. It's a possibility, so you know, that can happen. They're all different, you know, all these snakes, they're all different, and they all love doing their own thing. So commonly used incubation materials are sphagnum moss, or coarse, now I hope I'm saying this right, vermiculite. So you've probably seen that online as well, but yes, so they're the sort of two main materials that you can use for sort of keeping eggs moist. And sorry, I know a lot of people don't like that word, but you know what I mean, because you don't want eggs to dry out, but at the same time you don't want the humidity too high so that they go moldy. So it is finding that perfect sort of temperature, humidity, and yeah, the eggs need to lay on something that's sort of soft and gentle, you know, because they're not like chicken eggs, they're not hard, they're sort of soft and sort of leathery, I would say. But there we go. The incubation temperature should range anything, the range should be sort of anything from 26 Celsius up to 30 Celsius, or 80 to 85 in Fahrenheit. This has been proven to be the most beneficial temperature for recently hatched corn snakes. So you want them to be comfortable and warm, obviously not too hot, not too cold. It is a case of getting it just right, but when you live in the UK and that, it's where it can be quite cold a lot of the year, you do have to make sure that you've got their temperatures right, their heat mats or heat emitters, bulbs, whatever you use for heating. You've just got to keep an eye on those and make sure they're at the right temperature, and the tank is at you know, nice ambient temperature. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my boy snakes doing their thing during breeding season. I was lucky enough to catch them. I haven't caught this one nose rubbing or anything, but he has done it in the past. So it's funny, he didn't do it much last year, but this year could be different, who knows. but we'll see. And also I'm just going to show you Apollonia as well, just her sort of milling about, and give you some information about her as well. So I'm waiting for her to lay some infertile eggs. If she doesn't, she doesn't, but you know, we'll just have to see. Take it a bit at a time. Whether Athene will lay anything, who knows, but you know, whatever happens, we'll just take it one step at a time. So yeah, there we go. Mr. Caduceus. I'd say he's got a grey bit on his nose from where his nose rubbed in the past to get out the tank to the females, but that's his thing, his nose rubbing and glass surfing, so he'll probably still eat during breeding season. But there we go, he's disappearing off. This is a Asclepian. He's not been glass surfing too much, and he doesn't really nose rub you know, during breeding season and stuff, but he does go off his food. So he ate last week, but he might go off it again at some point. But yeah, so he's just sort of sitting on his table, maybe hoping a female might wander past, but that's not going to happen. He's taken a bit of a chilled out approach this year, so yeah, we'll just see what happens. As I say, his main thing is glass surfing and going off his food, so they're all different in their own way, these males. I spy someone glass surfing. Yes, I do. My little boy. Looking out for the females. Oh, here we go. We've got little Asclepian doing a bit of glass surfing. I'm sorry about all the reflections. It's difficult to film through glass. I've had to put my ring light on so that I can sort of get a clearer picture of these guys doing their thing. This little boy has got a little grey bit on his nose where he's been nose rubbing to get out in the past. Yeah. What are you doing? Oh, a little cutie pie, aren't you? Right, I'm going to leave them to it. So I'm just doing a little bit of filming of Apollonia. We all know she's a girl because she laid eggs last year. And she's kind of glass surfing because she can smell the males. So that's what she's looking for, is a male to sort of fertilise the eggs, as it were. But yes, that's not happening. So the girls can glass surf as well as the boys, but it's not as regular. The females don't glass surf as much as the boys. The boys are sort of bigger on doing that than the girls. I can see Athene in there, her head's just sticking out the hole, but she's not bothered either way about breeding season whatsoever. She just does not care. But this little girl, as I say, is looking for a male, but I mean, it would be interesting to breed her maybe with Asclepian or Caduceus and see what we get, but I don't know, maybe at some point, but not yet. I want to do more research, you know, before I do any sort of breeding of snakes and whatnot. So I'm just happy with the snakes that I've got at the moment. Okay, so that was just like a sort of little short introduction to breeding season where corn snakes are concerned. It's just a sort of pinpoint of facts and things to look out for with your corn snakes and stuff. As I say, the females have got to be 3 years old before they're considered for mating, at least. So, and the boys, they'll be 2 years old by the time they're ready to start mating, so they're a bit sort of sooner. But yeah, this little boy, he's actually glass surfing more than Asclepian at the moment, but I like seeing them do it. It just fascinates me. But I don't know, the girls do sort of glass surf, but a lot of the time it will just be them actually looking out for food. They're not bothered about mating. The girls are generally hidden away. I'm glad I've been able to get this one out, so he's a good boy. Anyway, so yeah, so if you did enjoy that video, then please like and subscribe, and when you do subscribe, please hit that bell notification and click all so you get notifications of all my latest videos. And if you've got any comments or questions, then just pop them in the comments section below and I'll do my best to answer them. But from myself and a squiggly Caduceus, it is goodbye. And I hope all your snakes are doing well, you know, during this breeding season time and whatnot. So yeah, we'll see you in my next video, and thank you very much for watching. Oh, crazy boy.